can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Speedball textbook? Let's get into this, and also maybe introduce what the Speedball textbook is for those who don't know.
Okay, happy to. In 1915, the first Speedball book came out, and it was designed by the two men who invented the Speedball pen. And the Speedball pen was specifically designed to do movie titles, the lettering and the speech, um, what do they call them, screens for silent movies. And traditional calligraphy pens made too fine of a hairline for the camera to pick up. So they designed the Speedball pen to be bold. So once they invented the pen, they put out these little booklets to show the kind of letter styles that they had invented for their new pens. And that began this 110-year journey we've been on all this time. The two men were William Hugh Gordon, who was a mentor to his younger partner, Ross F. George. William Hugh Gordon became deathly ill in 1919 and sold his half of the company to Ross F. George, and then he died in 1920. And Ross George then single-handedly put out each subsequent edition of the Speedball textbook for 40 years. So from 1920 to 1956, I believe, 1957 was the last one that he edited himself. And that's how many editions was 12 editions over those 40 years. And after that, the company, the Speedball company, took over, and they were sort of edited by committee for a while. And finally, in 1991, I'm sorry, Judy Caston and Joanne Fink took it over, and that's when it really became aimed right at calligraphers, because Ross F. George had aimed it at professional sign people who were doing show cards and ticket writing and stuff like that, as well as calligraphy. And it slowly evolved into having more and more calligraphy towards the end of Ross George's time as editor. And once he died, much more. But it was the 22nd and 23rd edition by Joanne and Judy that really turned it specifically towards calligraphy.
Wow. And can I ask, I can't do the maths, but when does a new edition need to come out? Or is it just sort of as and when?
It's sporadic.
Okay.
George, you could see. And by the way, the place to find out the history of the Speedball textbooks is the 24th edition by Angie Vangelis and Randy Hassan, because it was the 100th year anniversary. They really dedicated, there's a whole timeline that has all this information. That's where I'm getting, the specific dates. But George would do it every 3 years, 4 years. There was a 7-year break for World War II. And so generally in the 5-year time period, and since the 24th, 25th, and now the 26th, they have been 5 years apart. So it seems like Speedball is committing to this idea of a 5-year time span between editions.
Right. Okay. And I guess it's interesting because my mind is going, what happens in the world of calligraphy in 5 years? Is it a lot? Is there
Oh, yeah.
new stuff to tell?
Well, not so much to tell, but there is new stuff to show for each of these topics that is, letter styles that have traditionally been in the book, as well as traditionally being taught as classic calligraphy classifications or hands or styles. So we address those, and I am a huge one for wanting to see new stuff. So I felt like the 25th edition, which I was involved with, and then the 26th, I wanted them to be complementary, but I wanted as much new stuff as possible while we're still talking about those same letter styles. So there is there's always been wonderful letter artists the world over, but with the internet, we all know about so many more of them, and there is lots of work. You might be able to put a book out like this every 5 months if it wasn't so much work, because so many people are doing so many exciting things with lettering these days.
What was your kind of hope and mission for this new edition that kind of would set it apart? Was it just having new things and bringing that excitement through, or Was there a sort of underlying, I want to, I want to, I want to meet the readers in a different way here?
Both of those things, definitely both of those things, Laura. That's a great question. Primarily, it was to fulfill those letter styles that we had to represent with fresh work. Um, and there were definitely plates that are repeated, but I would redesign them completely so that I wanted every page to look different, even if we were repeating something from the previous edition. Yeah, and then the second thing was I wanted to do some surprises for things that hadn't been represented before. So there are all these little things that were close to my heart that, with the freedom that Speedball gave me to edit the book, that I was able to, you know, do this subterfuge of my heroes growing up as a lettering artist.
You've got a book packed with people that are amazing calligraphy artists, and that was your job to really bring
Yes.
those people through. And the fact that you've been able to pull their work together, and those who aren't with us, you've been able to celebrate their work and them as creative humans, but also for other people to be inspired by all of their life's work and take that forward. Hopefully, the younger generations hanging on and preserving some of these wonderful styles.
I certainly hope so.